Welcome to Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a weekly podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host Dennis Simpson as we discuss the history, facts, people, places, events, lots more surrounding Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Visit the website at hotspringsvillageinside.out.com. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com.
Welcome to Hot Springs Village Inside Out and the elusive unicorn of interviews. That's right, Miss Stephanie Heffer. Stephanie, so great to have you today. How are you, dear?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Wonderful. And the reason why I say the unicorn of interviews, how long have we tried to interview you?
It's been a few months, no doubt about it. And it's my fault. These guys have been really persistent and really patient.
No,
canceled a time or two.
You had to cancel. We had to shuffle. It's just we're just thrilled to have you on.
Thanks.
Tell me about how a girl from Oklahoma. Did I get that right?
That's
a girl
right.
From Oklahoma gets to the village. How do you do that?
Okay, well, now you see you've buried the lead. Okay.
Oh, what?
Hello, Okies. We're okay. I knew I liked her. I knew I liked her. Keep going.
Are you from Oklahoma too, Randy?
I was born in Ada, Oklahoma.
Ada, Oklahoma. I'm a Tulsa girl. Tulsa.
Okay.
Jinx, Oklahoma is my alma mater. Jinx. I'm a Jinx Trojan girl from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well,
yeah.
Great high school football.
Yep. Jinx. So actually Jinx via Dallas lived outside of Dallas, Sherman, Denison area, and then here. So my husband at the time was going to college in Texas. So that's how we got to Dallas or Sherman, and then came Hot Springs Village was a job. We came here for a job, believe it or not. He was
what kind of job? I didn't know this.
He was in horticultural science field, and he was a golf course superintendent. So he came here to Hot Springs Village as a golf course superintendent at the DeSoto Golf Course way back in 1990.
In 1990.
So that's how I got here. Yeah.
So
with a baby in tow, a brand new baby in tow. In fact,
still had the new baby smell, had the fresh baby,
right.
new car baby smell, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And so you needed a job, and you thought to yourself,
I thought to myself, I'm going to go to work anywhere I can find that will give me a paycheck, actually. So again, I had a baby. I was like 22 years old. I was a young kiddo in a retirement community. I thought I had fallen off of the end of the world, drove through the gates. At that time, there was nothing here. I mean, it was trees and more trees. There weren't even 8 golf courses or 9 golf courses as there are today. Obviously, there was no Magellan. There was no Ponce. Well, maybe Ponce, barely Ponce. There was no Isabel. There was no Granada. There was no Diamante. None of that was built yet. There was no East Gate yet.
I think you call it Golfville. Golfville had not been built yet.
Yeah, that's right. So it was a different world back then, very much so. And so, I applied for a job absolutely as a receptionist at the Hot Springs Village POA, just for something to do just to fill my days, honestly, make a little bit of money. And I had actually, so this is a little known fact about Stephanie Heffer. I was a trained court stenographer. I had gone through court stenography school. So that's actually what I had been doing before. But my license wasn't good in Arkansas. And then again, at the time I had a baby, I was in a new state. I wasn't really ready to go back and retrain myself in the ways of Arkansas court stenography. So went to work just doing something. And here I am.
My mouth is hanging open. More buried leads here, Randy. Stenography? I had no idea.
Back in the days when it was the little bitty machine, where you just sit there and yeah, that was me. Yeah, that girl.
Did you do that?
Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
Did you ever do that?
A little freelance. I never worked for the court system or anything. Just
Right.
did a little freelance kind of work. No, I never actually went and did it full time.
So it was 1990 when you went to work as a receptionist at the POA?
It is.
So let me cut back here. So we go to 1990, and then we go to 2020, and in between you were at the POA for 30 years, and we start as a front receptionist, and we ended up doing what?
I went through a whole bunch of different jobs, real honestly. And so I'm a pretty ambitious kind of a person, and I love to learn. And I'm sort of self-taught. I like, I just continually look for ways to improve and look for ways to move through the ranks. And so I did the receptionist thing until something opened up in the water area, water department. So I started doing the water billing and water, that's sort of into that world. And then I did cost accounting and some of that sort of thing. And lo and behold, that's about the time that John Paul came to work for the POA, somewhere in there. And he was wandering through one day, and he was watching me work, and we sort of just began to chit chat. And he said, "What are you doing down here?" This is downstairs in the accounting. He said, I tell him what I'm doing. He goes, "You're kind of buried down here in this accounting world. You should come to work in golf. You'd be good in the golf world." And he said, do you want to make a move? And I said, I do. He said, you should come be my assistant. And so I did. And so I went to work for John. And that was really the beginning of my sort of, I guess, mentorship through the John Paul ranks of leadership school, I guess. And he really kind of brought me along. And I just, from there, I felt like I kind of blossomed into what I do today. And yeah, I just did a little bit of everything, project management to, I led the tea time group. I ran the food and beverage group for a while, actually doing that. I just became kind of the right hand person in the golf world.
Well, and I think the training, the John Paul Training School has served you well in many ways, if you know what I mean, as I'm speaking to somebody who's now working at Arvest, and we'll come back to that in just a minute.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to know. So what was it like with John Paul? And I want to say something first. I want to get this all the way. Stephanie, you and I and John Paul have been in boardrooms before, and we've sat down and had they're never argumentative discussions, never. But we've had stern conversations where we're like, I want to do this, and I don't think you should do this, and you think we should. And we all have this conversation. I've never come out of that room and not thought I didn't feel heard. Now,
thanks.
The greatest compliment that I can give John Paul, we don't have to agree on everything. That's not our job, your job, my job, whatever. But I always thought, and with you too, I felt heard. My point of view made sense. Somebody acknowledged it, and okay, we'll look into that. We'll take a look at this and we'll review that. What's it like working with John Paul every day? Is that a scenario? Is that a reality?
Yeah, I think John and I had a really good, healthy working relationship as well, and we did not always see eye to eye either. So, but John he gave me a lot of room to express my opinion, and so my philosophy was always. And I would say to him, I would tell him, frankly, I disagree with this or I disagree with that, but I also respect you and your position, and you're the boss. And so while you're the boss, I'll do what you require me to do. If this is the direction you want to go, we're going to go that direction. There are times as well, though, he would look at me and he would see my point of view and say, I like where you're going with this. Let's go that direction. So I think we really actually had a great back and forth through the years, to the point that he began to really, really respect what I brought to the table. I respected what he brought to the table, and it helped me again. It helped me to grow in confidence. Again, I was a kid. I mean, I started at 22 years old, and so he helped me build that confidence in myself to make a decision, stand on it, and he said to me years and years ago, he said, Stephanie, you'll never, ever have to feel guilty or bad about a decision you make if you always do the right thing. Just feel, never ever feel like you're not doing the right thing. If it's the right thing, it's the right thing. You didn't, and I've just lived by that. I just live by it. You haven't betrayed yourself or anybody else. You don't lie, you don't cheat, you just do the right thing. And it's just good advice, so that's just kind of the way we work. And so for me, John and I, we just worked that way then. We worked that way today, even without me working at the POA. I still can call him and he still calls me. I talk to him once or twice a week today, even today. He and I talk all the time. So it's good. It was a good relationship then, still is today. Yeah. So I worked for him about 15 years, actually. He was kind of the direct report, if you will. And then an opportunity came along for the recreation director. That position opened up, which would have been more of a peer position to John in the POA org chart. And I applied for that position with no real experience at all in recreation or that level of leadership, but I had built a reputation enough that the powers that be and the GM at the time felt that I was ready. And so they gave me an opportunity to lead that division, and I did well, and did that for, I don't really know how many years. I'm going to say 8 or 9 years. And that was a big job too. Recreation more or less covers everything fun and interesting about Hot Springs Village other than golf, right? So it's all the lakes and trails and, all the fun. Until David Twiggs came along and said, Stephanie, how do you feel about development and building and community and all of that kind of stuff? Let's see how you fit there. And that's when he kind of pulled me off into that direction. And I left the recreation department and moved on into all those other weird titles that they gave me that nobody knows what they are. Yeah.
Well, I got Randy. I know you got questions. You go. I do go.
Well, I'm over a 30-year career. Give us some sense, and I've asked other guests this. Give us some sense when you walk in the door in 1990, and all the changes when you walk out the door in last year.
Yeah. It's kind of surreal, honestly, Randy. It was such a long time ago, and it was so old school. I mean, beyond the fact that in 1990 it was still a smoking office. It was still like those were back in the days. You get on an airplane and everybody was smoking. It was still, the office was full of ashtrays and all of that. But it also was, everybody knew everyone. It was still very much a small town kind of a feel. I was absolutely the baby of the family. I was young. Everybody treated me that way too. And not in a terribly bad way, but just I was the kiddo. But when I left, I was the senior person on staff. So I came in as this absolute, nobody knew me. And I was the youngest person in the building and almost in the community. And I left having grown into the whole place. I was old. I was old and the senior.
When you first arrive, is it like this, oh crap moment? Where am I and what have I done? Or
yeah, because Tulsa's not like it's not like a big metropolis, but it's big compared to this.
Yeah.
And Dallas, of course, is. And so I was used to city. I was used to a much larger space and place and a whole lot more people and convenience and all that kind of stuff. So I would say honestly, for the first 5 or 6 or 7 years, we would go home almost every weekend. We would go back. We were just like, what do we do here? What are we going to do here? And so we would work during the week and we would go home on the weekends, see our friends and see our family and go back to the city. Because it was truly, there was nothing here. There was just nothing here. Yeah. But I love it. I got to tell you, I raised 2 children here. I came with 1 baby in tow and I left with 2 grown men who are fine, amazing kids and adult men now. But I couldn't have asked for a better place to raise 2 kids. And yeah.
Well, somewhere in here, you married somebody.
I did.
With a golf background or something. What happened?
So unfortunately, my first marriage didn't make it. He's a fine, great human being. He and I are still very good friends and a great father to my boys. But I went through a divorce and was divorced for a few years. And my husband, Tom Heffer, who's the director of golf here in Hot Springs Village, he at some point during that period of time, he had gone through a divorce as well. But we had worked together for a long time, years and years, actually. And I'd known him and worked with him, and we'd always been friends. We'd been friends, and I don't know, somewhere along the line, and after the divorces and everything else, that friendship just became, it just grew into wow, well, you're divorced and I'm divorced, and why not? And so here we are. Yeah. So, and actually now we will be married 10 years in October of this year.
Really?
Actually.
Congratulations. So, yeah. Well, and you've said before in my other show that he made you a heifer. So we'll just leave that as it were. I don't think so.
That's the first, that's 1 strike. He's got one strike.
The
But
fun
he
of
also brought
home
3 great kids into the mix. So my 2, and he's got 3 others. So we've got a really nice blended family of 5. So we're good. We're good.
His background in the village is, I mean, give me some idea.
Crazy, actually. So Tom is originally from New York. He's from upstate New York, in the Rochester area. And he came down with his ex-wife and her family and was here for a while. Ended up being hired by John Paul, actually. So he kind of started with that same John Paul story. And one day you'll have to get him on the show because his story is really interesting and unique. And another really good friend of ours, Mike Socha, they have a really interesting story about how he's also from upstate New York. And anyways, I won't spoil that story, but it's a really good story. And but anyways, he's worked a number of places, but found a home in Hot Springs Village and loves it. And yeah, he's the guy here. So
He is, yeah.
yeah.
So we got to get to how we transition to Arvest here in a minute. We have to have ushers, but so many. I mean, a lot of times people will say that every decade is like a different life or a different style or something. And I can see where maybe the first 10 years might have been one and the second 10 years, but the last few years have just been so many positions, so much change, so much turmoil, so much just change. It's not all bad, just change. Tell me about how we got to Arvest. What made you want to go there? Or in my opinion, I, as a friend who saw you on the regular basis, I would think, working at the POA, I would think, man, I don't know when she quits working. I don't know when you get any time off at the POA. So fill in that blank.
Well, I would have happily worked at the POA forever. Really, I mean, it was a great career for me, and I have a lot of friends there, and I have a lot of respect for all the people that are still there. But yes, the last 4 or 5 years were pretty tough. Not just the POA, but the community as a whole. We went through a pretty weird transitional phase here, I think, and I'm going to say that we've pulled out of it, and I think that's fantastic because we needed to, and I think we've turned a stone here, and that's so good for all of us. But and I wasn't looking to leave. I didn't leave because of money. I didn't leave because of any of that. I left because an opportunity came my way. It felt like a good time, and it fit me. It just fit me. It fit my personality. It just fit me well, And so I just took it. And what I do is so much a part of community, and that's what I believe in. I believe in people, I believe in relationships, I believe in connection. And this was giving me that opportunity to step back into the community. And over the last several years in my job, as you mentioned, I'd become so busy and so kind of just, I don't know, it was really kind of a little bit overwhelming. I'd become much more in the operations side of the POA in a much more big holistic way. So really in a lot of different parts and pieces, that it had taken me out of the connection to the community. And that's where I belong. I just feel that. And so this was an opportunity to put me back into that place.
So I'm guessing Mr. Gooch was the guy that came, a mutual friend that we know.
Yeah. And it didn't start like, so nobody, I don't want to make it sound like I got ripped away or stolen away by Arvest, but Donna Aylward was a person that was working in the same role that I have. And she retired from Arvest and left the community and moved away. And when she left, she said to the Arvest team, I know somebody in the village that would be a good fit for my job. And when you guys consider replacing me, you should make a phone call to this gal. She's got kind of the skills that you're looking for, and she has the connection to this place that Arvest needs.
I could not fathom. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I could not fathom a greater endorsement. I really couldn't. Donna was an exceptional lady, and that's fantastic.
Yeah. And so Donna and I had worked a lot together in a whole bunch of different capacities, sat on a number of different boards and committees and different things over the years, over a lot of years actually. And so, it was exciting to me too. She called and said, "Hey, would you mind if I gave your name?" And I said, "No, I think that, I'm not saying yes or no either way, but no, I don't mind if you give my name." a conversation is a conversation, and one conversation turned into two, and two turned into 10, and it didn't happen quickly either. These conversations occurred over a whole bunch of different months, and it took a while to really make the decision. It wasn't something that I took lightly. So yeah, it's hard to leave someplace you've been a really long time. And I care about the POA. I care about the success of the place and the company and the people that I work with and for. And so I didn't want to leave without it feeling like it was going to be okay, And they were in a place in time where they were hiring a new general manager, and that person needs an opportunity to step in, with a good, fresh look at things, without a bunch of baggage. It just all felt right to me. Felt like a good
Well,
time.
Congratulations is an understatement. Randy, I want to ask your professional opinion in a moment. I'm going to bring this up. Somebody that has a resume that goes like this, that goes through all these positions. And Stephanie, are you a college graduate, or where
I'm
did
not.
you? Yeah, you
Yeah.
were cutting. You're cutting to my chase here, and the reason why I'm getting to that is the thing I hear as I hear this story is your life is about learning. It sounds like you are. It's a lifelong. When people say about a lifelong endeavor to learn, or I like to learn, or whatever, you're the embodiment of that. And before I ask you about that, Randy, what's this like on a professional coach file? What does somebody like Stephanie bring to the table, if you know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, you're talking to somebody. I'm 18 hours shy of a degree in journalism from LSU. So
Really?
I dropped out.
Oh, I never knew that.
I dropped out because I was making too much money. Yeah. I go in, the professor's like, I got this great gig lined up for you. Times Picayune in New Orleans. I said, I'm not going to New Orleans. You're out of your mind. Anyway. No, I think it's great. I have conversations regularly, Stephanie, with people that can't figure out ways to transition or translate skills that they have learned and put them in new situations, which you clearly have done. You clearly did it all through your time at the POA, taking one position and leveraging it. You're like, okay, a receptionist, accounting, golf. Okay. What did John Paul see? What did he tell you he saw? Why did he think that whatever skills you had were transferable to his world in directing the golf at the time?
Honestly, I really think it's just personality. I think I'm a people person. I really think it had to do with just people. I wasn't shy. I wasn't sitting in a corner minding my own business. I was engaged.
Yeah.
I was engaged.
Yeah. Well, and those are, I've told Dennis a story before, when years ago I had a CEO who had hired me to help work with some of his team. Why are soft skills so hard?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know, but it affords a guy like me to get a few POs every now and again. So I'll take it. My question is, so describe for us the role now at Arvest and what exactly do you do?
Yeah. Well, I'm still building it, real frankly. I'm still sort of putting it all together, but I guess I would say this. I absolutely 100% believe in the company. It's a phenomenal bank. And the people I work with are the best, the absolute best. They just really are. I know Dennis has worked with them a lot too, but Don Gooch, Franklin Bass, those are only two names in a list of a ton of great people there. But
and for those for those of us that don't know and aren't familiar, Steph, so give us some background, some context of the bank. The history or anything else.
Arvest is people helping people find financial solutions for life. That's our mission, and and it's simple, and it's absolutely true. It's exactly what we do. We're actually founded, by the Walton Foundation. It's a Walmart founded bank. It's the oldest bank in Arkansas. It's we're in 4 states. I think we have somewhere around 6,000 associates within the company. So we're strong. We're passionate. We're team oriented. We believe in each other. I mean, it's got the best culture. It's just a really, really good company. We were just this last year in, gosh, I want to say Newsweek. I'm going to probably get that wrong, but I want to say Newsweek in the top 100 companies to work for in the country. So it's just a great, great bank. I mean, it really, really is. And we do go out of our way to find ways to help customers, with whatever the financial need, whether it's wealth management, investments or loans or, mortgage, equipment, financing, just any number of different things that we can do for whether it's commercial or personal finance. But it's just good. It's just a good company.
And your role there today is, and I get that
my job title, I'm business development and community advisor for the bank. So I'm not a loan officer. I don't open accounts. But my job really is, I kind of want to say I'm a little bit of a brand ambassador. I'm somebody who's engaged in Hot Springs Village as a bank representative. And yeah, I do want to bring clients to the bank. I do want to be able to talk bank business to people that I interact with on a daily basis. And when I meet somebody like a Dennis or a Randy that have a business interest that they say, hey, is there something that Arvest might be able to do for me? I want to be able to talk about that. And then I want you to trust me that I'm going to be able to do my best work for you. Right. So yeah, business development really is my role.
And I want to just tell you my experience, Randy, and we've never discussed, and I haven't even said this with you, Stephanie. There have been many times in Glenn, Minton, Stephanie, Jennifer. I mean, I can go down the list. There's a fantastic list of people. Scott DeBeer, I've worked with him many years. But as I go down the list, and I'll go in and sit down and say, okay, I've got this plan I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to do it this way, and I don't know how to go this way. I'm thinking back in particular about the last meeting I had with you and Glenn, and this is not an Arvest commercial. This is just my reality. Right. And that is that I walk in and, Randy, you've been to environments before, and I know you and I approach these things a lot alike, but you walk in and you sit down and you think, okay, well, we're going to have a conversation. And you look around and you kind of size up the room and you realize there's a bullseye on your forehead. And it's just a matter of who's going to pull the trigger and, well, can you buy today? And what are you going to do? I'd never felt that way. I have never felt that way. I felt as if I sat down with friends who were trying to find the best solution for me. And when I brought these things up to Glenn was like, well, have you heard about this builder? I'm like, well, no, well, he's a great guy. We worked with him on this. You need to talk to him about this. Well, have you thought about this? Well, no, I haven't thought. And so instead of being, and we talked about it just a few minutes ago, Randy, instead of being a transaction, it's a relationship. It's not just transactional. It's, when I walk out of the meeting with you, Stephanie, we still have a relationship. Even if I do a transaction, it's still based on our relationship. And anyway, that's what I think people that are listening and watching need to know is that my experience, and I hope everyone's experience with Arvest has been, there are people behind there. And like you say, people helping people achieve their financial goals, I think is what you said. That's not how it is everywhere I go.
Well, it's a good place. I mean, it really is. It's just it's a good company. I'm proud to be a part of it. I really am. I wouldn't have left, like I said, a career of 31 years for anywhere. And it took the right opportunity, the right place. And I found it. So, okay. So I know we got to be careful with your time here, but I want to hear the funniest thing that ever happened to you when you were at the POA. Okay? Oh my gosh. The funniest thing. I've had some interesting phone calls like back. Let's see. I'll give you some back in the reception day times. I've had people call me and want me to do something about the noise level of the C-130s going over their house. Can you at the POA please control that? Those noisy airplanes flying over my house.
And you just didn't call the Air Force and say, hey, listen, can you redirect the planes?
That was one of those where the POA was we can't fix it. We just couldn't fix it. That was one. Funny things, let me think. Some of them I can't quite tell you.
Well, that's okay. You can.
They're not repeatable. I wish I could tell you. There's a couple that are.
Randy may have the questions pulled up in just a minute.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Well, lightning round, but go ahead, Dennis.
Well, no, I was just going to ask one more question, and really would love to have you back and dig a little deeper here. One of the things I'd love to know is in 2006, Cooper ceased active engagement, or they didn't build any more homes, didn't build any more lots. And, that these people would say, well, they left. Well, they never left. I understand. I mean, they're going to be the developer until they sell those rights or in perpetuity or whatever. And from day zero, set in 1870 to 2006, the POA and the Cooper had a very symbiotic relationship. We didn't get our trash picked up today. Okay, we'll go talk to the POA. Well, we're thinking about selling our lot. Okay, go talk to Cooper. Well, when Cooper went away that way, or when they ceased active in operations there, it felt to me like the POA may have lost its way or not known what to do, because their big brother wasn't standing beside them there to prop them up, from here on out. What do you see as the future? What do you envision, or how do you see that event?
I think what happened was, as you said, Cooper didn't leave, but they ceased their operation. And what didn't transpire during that period of time was a solid transition plan. So while they ceased their operation, there wasn't a conversation happening pre-2006 over the course of 12 months, 18 months prior to that, which should have been happening, to say, hey, we're no longer going to be marketing Hot Springs Village. We're no longer going to be doing any lot sales for Hot Springs Village. We're no longer going to be doing these key components of operational stuff that you're going to have to pick up. Somebody's going to have to pick these pieces up that are now going to be left by the wayside. And so Hot Springs Village, I think, the POA was left ill-prepared. We were ill-prepared to take on marketing, for an example, to take on a sales role. We were maintenance. Right up until that point, the Hot Springs Village POA was a maintenance company. They really were.
And to interrupt for those listening that don't know, Cooper was bringing in a couple of thousand, tens of thousands of people a year, and then it just stopped.
That's right. And up until that point, the assessment dollars were growing every single year because additional lots were being sold every single year. And you have to remember, every single new lot that was sold those were lots that were being brought into the, 1 year there would be 20,000 lots. The next year there were 25,000 lots. The next year there was 28,000 lots, and there was 29,000, and then 30,000 lots. So every year we were growing by the number of lots that Cooper was selling, and those were new assessment dollars. And people were still paying back then. That was when people still paid their assessments. So it was kind of a perfect storm, truthfully. I mean, you had Cooper stopping operation, POA not prepared to take on the role of marketer, salesman, these things that Cooper had traditionally done. And then the Great Recession hits. And people start turning back their lots. So all of these things happened in the course of a very short 36-month time span. And wow, it was a punch in the gut. And it took a decade to try to figure out how to pull out of it.
By the way, this is why I love you. Seriously, you put that was a succinct answer, and it made sense. And from an outside or an inside, when you realize all those variables, I've seen all these variables for 20 years. I didn't realize everything lined up just like that at that same time. When people ask, and we ask Jennifer Allen, we ask, well, is the village a resort? Is it a retirement community? What is it? And she came back with a better question, which was, what does the village want to be when it grows up? And we were like, ooh, good question. Good question. How do you see things? Should it be a resort? What your opinion now, personally, not speaking for any business or anything?
I just think that people that move here want to live their best life. And if you want to feel retired and live your best life in a retirement mind, then be retired. If you want it to feel like a resort every day, then I just don't think it has to be any one thing. Here's the deal. It's 26,000 acres, folks. It's 34,000 lots. It's really, really big. It doesn't have to be one thing. I think it's too big to be one thing.
That's a fair answer. I love that. Will you be on again? Would you please?
Sure.
We'd love to have you back. Randy, sorry.
We won't blitz you with the lightning round next time, but we will this time.
Yeah, we got to hit you.
Is this hard?
No, these are real quick and real fun.
Okay.
Hiking, boating, golf, or tennis.
Hiking, boat, golf, hiking,
Hamburger or taco.
taco,
Beaches or woods.
beaches,
I knew that one.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
extrovert.
If you had a warning label.
Actually, can I go back? I'm an introvert. I'm an extrovert that really kind of wants to be an introvert.
Okay.
Randy, y'all need to have a conversation.
Well, Dennis is an extrovert who wants to be an extrovert. I'm an introvert who kind of looks like an extrovert.
Yeah.
So there's that. If you had a warning label, what would it say?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I want to say like something like explodes when it gets too hot or something. Don't poke the bear. I don't know.
There you go. There you go. Favorite sport or team?
Football, Razorbacks.
There you go. Appetizer or dessert?
Oh, appetizer all day.
And it would be?
Oh, I like a good charcuterie tray. Yeah, I'm all about the cheese and salamis and meats tray. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most interesting thing you can see out your windows?
Work
I
or
see
home? Work or home?
Lake Maria right now.
Lake Maria. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Reading, watching, or listening?
Reading.
Sneakers, sandals, or hiking shoes?
Sandals.
Do you have a nickname?
Effie.
Effie?
Effie?
Effie. Effie. Yep. My nieces and nephews couldn't say Stephanie growing up, so they call me Aunt Effie. Effie.
Cute.
So I just go by Effie.
By the way, Randy, I want the last question today. Go ahead. I'm going to save one.
Go ahead. First job.
Court stenographer. No, that's not true. My very first job, I worked at Swenson's ice cream store in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's 14.
First pet.
14.
I rode my motorcycle to work. I had a motorcycle.
Okay. You were an awesome 14-year-old.
It was a Suzuki 100. Boom, boom.
Suzuki 100. How far was work from home?
Yeah, it was about 8 miles. It was a ways.
Man.
It was a ways. Yeah.
Repeat after me what you heard when you got to work.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. First pet.
Oh, it was a dog. It was a little, yeah, it was a dog.
Do you remember the name?
Princess.
Favorite movie?
Pride and Prejudice.
Man.
Keira Knightley. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Heavy lifting. If you were a superhero, what power would you have?
To be invisible.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Yeah.
What would you sing at karaoke night?
Oh, I wouldn't. I would never sing at karaoke night.
I mean, neither. But if you could and you would, what would
If
it
I
be?
could and I would sing. I don't know. Anything by Fleetwood Mac, probably. Stevie Nicks. Some Stevie Nicks songs.
All right. These last two are musical, and then I'm going to let Dennis have the last one. So, favorite musician or band?
Oh, I probably actually I really love I love Mumford and Sons. That's my favorite these days. Mumford.
There you go. Can't complain with that. First concert.
Chicago.
There you go.
Chicago.
Yeah, now we're showing our age.
Yeah,
we
I
are.
love Chicago. We saw them a couple of years before the pandemic. Yeah, wow, it was great.
All right, Dennis, ask your question.
All right, you ready? This is the big one.
Uh-oh. Can you ask me how old I am, Dennis?
No.
Don't
This is
do it.
much more important.
Okay.
Alabama or Georgia?
Georgia. Dogs.
The dogs. I was about to say, it's the dogs or the Bama.
I thought you were going to ask me what my real hair color was. I was really going to get you then.
All right, we got to give context because when we're recording, this is January the 10th, so it's national championship days we're recording, so the audience will know. And well, by the time it comes out, we'll know whether you were cheering or crying.
Yeah.
So I have really, really great friends. We have some really great friends. This will be for another time, but Tom and I met some of our very best friends that we have today on vacation in Cancun, and they live in Atlanta, Georgia. Both are grads from University of Georgia. They're both dogs. They are, big time dogs. So for them. We're rooting for the dogs.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw the post on Facebook I had this last week, but it said, don't make fun of the South when we get snow, because it's about as often as a northern team actually plays for the championship.
Yeah.
Bum.
That's right.
Yeah.
SEC, baby.
SEC. It's a tougher world. I remember back when I was a kid, we were in the Southwest Conference, Arkansas was, and people would always say, "Who are you playing this week?" And I'm like, "Somebody in Texas."
Now, I'm also a big OU fan. Like, it was my other family who I'll have to maybe tell them not to listen to this, but OU, they would maybe chastise me for not saying.
Yeah.
OU.
Well, I was going to ask you, as a Tulsa girl, you were. It was high probability you were an OSU fan, so I was gonna ask, because I'm a rabid Sooner fan, even though I went to OSU. So.
No, it's Sooners, more Sooners. We don't do orange in my family. No orange, no Texas orange, no orange and black for the Sooners.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a learning moment for me with my relationship with Randy when I figured out that his coach was leaving and going somewhere else. I was like, man, I've never seen somebody so bummed.
Yeah, we were in our car. We had left Hot Springs Village. I'm driving, and Rhonda says, Lincoln Riley's leaving, going to USC. And I said, stop it. No, he's not.
Yeah.
And, of course, and then when he did, and within 10 days, I was thrilled. I've never been more pumped about OU football in my entire life.
Seriously, you got a good coach. It's a good coach. We have a good coach coming. It's good.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's going to be great.
It's awesome.
All the while I'm going, who's Lincoln Riley? Who?
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
Huh? What?
I'm pumped.
You got to get with it, Dennis. This is big news.
I do.
Big
I get that a
news.
lot. I've heard that many times, Stephanie. Today, you got to get with it, Dennis.
Yeah, well, he's nicknamed Muleshoe because he's from Muleshoe, Texas. So, Norman, they won't even call him by name now on the radio. They call him Muleshoe. Because he's the defector who went out west. So
That's funny.
It's been great having you on, Stephanie. And it's been worth the wait, I might add, too.
It has been very much worth the wait. Been a delight, dear.
Well, I appreciate you guys. It was fun. Ask me again. I'll try not to be so elusive.
No. We're happy to have you. For Hot Springs Village Inside Out, I'm Dennis Simpson. He's Randy Cantrell, and that's Stephanie Heffer. We've wanted to have for months, and we'll be back with another episode shortly.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that by visiting our website, hsvinsideout.com, and tell a friend.